Right. Welcome in, everyone. We're going to give it some time for everyone to pop in, but we'll get started in just a few minutes. Feel free to put in the chat where you're tuning in from. We're excited to chat with you all and give you some information about Skidmore. Right, I see some representation from Ghana and from Brookline, Massachusetts. Connecticut, New York City, Maryland. Good to have everyone in here. San Diego, Bulgaria. Love to see it. Nigeria, more Brooklyn, New York, Syracuse, some California, Puerto Rico. It's great. Just waiting a few minutes for everyone to come on in, but excited to chat with you all, answer any questions you all have. Some more New York City, Pakistan, Virginia, California, Bangladesh, Connecticut, Maine. Right. Looks like starting to slow down, so we can get started here. Thank you all for tuning in from all over the place. I know it's various different times right now, so we really appreciate you popping on to join us for this information session. My name is Jordan Kraft. I'm one of the assistant directors here at Skidmore. I've been with Skidmore for about a year now, so kind of wrapping up my first year. But I am from the area. I'm not too far from Saratoga, so I know the area well, and I've been a big fan of Skidmore that whole time. You may see off camera my colleague Tiffany, who's in the background, helping to answer some of the questions for you all. And then I'm joined by two great students, if you don't mind introducing yourselves.
Hi, I'm Clarissa. I'm a sophomore here at Skidmore. I'm originally from New York City. I grew up in New York City, but my mom just moved to North Carolina this past summer, so I'm in between those two places. And I'm studying English and management and business.
Hello, everyone. My name is Milo. I'm a senior, which is scary to say. I'm from Westchester, New York. I'm a physics major, business and management minor. Outside of those academics, I'm very involved in student government. I'm the chair of the Student Events Council and has previously served in various positions regarding student life and other student concerns. I recently just came back from studying abroad in Milan, Italy, which is very exciting. And I just finished up a summer internship at Vineyard Vines as well.
So, to give you kind of an overview of how the virtual info session is going to work, I'm going to just basically give some information. Students will kind of chime in with their anecdotes as well. But we are using the Q&A feature here on the Zoom. So feel free if at any point you have a question, whether it's general or really specific, you can pose that there. And panelists feel free if while someone is talking through, if you want to type an answer out, that's great. You can also flag a question that you want to have answered live. And then we'll touch on those kind of as we get to the latter half of the program. But to get us started, just to kind of talk about Skidmore and where Skidmore is located. So Skidmore is in Saratoga Springs, New York. It's a very centrally located spot. We're about 3 hours from Boston, about 3 hours from New York City. If you head north, we're about 3 hours from the Canadian border. There's a close by train station, which is really convenient in Saratoga. We're also about 35, 40 minutes from Albany, which is where the other train station is and the airport is. There's a lot of access there as well. We have throughout the Capital District, we have the CDTA bus system, which is really reliable. It's a great way to get around Albany, Saratoga, and the surrounding areas. We also have a bike system on campus where students can rent a bike for up to 4 hours a day or up to 30 minutes on an electric bike. Those are all free to students with your Skidmore ID, which is really convenient to have. But it's also a nice 15-minute walk to get from campus to downtown, which is also really convenient on days where the weather's cooperating and you just kind of need a chance to kind of pop off campus. And there's really a lot going on in Saratoga. I like to say that Saratoga, Skidmore students get the benefit of a tourist town without a whole bunch of tourists, because a lot of the tourism happens throughout the summer months in the horse racing season, and a lot of the live music shows happen throughout that summer. And then as things kind of calm down, that's when students come back and get to kind of reap those benefits of what's left in the town. So there's a ton of different coffee shops, places to eat, music venues, as I mentioned, a little bit of everything throughout Saratoga. And we also have the benefit of being surrounded by a lot of great nature. So you get a little bit of city life and a little bit of that nature side of things. But if you both wouldn't mind talking about some of your favorite parts of Saratoga.
Um, I guess I could go first. I stayed up here for a summer between my sophomore and junior year, and I just really got to learn more about the community. I call it a hidden gem of New York State. I didn't know about it until I started visiting Skidmore and looking at colleges. I just love that it is a full sort of city with amazing food and all these sort of resources. You still get that feeling of being upstate New York. From amazing restaurants to that downtown area that Jordan spoke about, to the Wilton Mall having all the box stores, Target, Walmart, Chipotle especially. I love Chipotle, so it was a big win for me. And then also the Adirondacks, just being so close and so many other things. If you have the chance, if you visit over the summer or if you stay over one summer, seeing those horse races are just like a really once in a lifetime thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Being from a big city, I kind of loved that Saratoga was the best of both worlds for me. I can still go get an amazing iced coffee downtown and like do my work at a cafe. I can even go out to dinner, and there's places that are really good but like affordable for a college student. And at the same time, go on like a 30-minute drive and I'm in like the middle of the Adirondacks. Like you couldn't imagine being close to those more downtowny things. So I really love the duality of Saratoga Springs.
Yeah, that's great. And to kind of echo that affordability piece, a lot of the places downtown do offer student discounts, which is also very nice to have. Saratoga has a really good relationship with Skidmore as a whole. So it's really nice to have that back and forth. But kind of getting more specific on kind of Skidmore from the Saratoga lens, we are a smaller liberal arts college. So we have about 2,700 students. We are solely undergraduate focused. So there's no graduate programs, no doctorate programs, kind of pulling resources in other directions, which really allows us to pour into this undergraduate experience. And the way we do that, we have really close-knit community here on campus. Our average class size is about 16, and we have an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So there's really a lot of opportunity to get to know one another, get to know your professors, to get to know everyone on campus on a much, deeper level than just someone in the class or a student on the page. You really do get a chance to focus on that relationship building. And a lot of the professors really lean into that as well. Professors, whether you have them for one class or you have them for all 4 years, they're always going to be really invested in your future and kind of who you are as a student. We have over 40 different majors. Some of the more popular majors tend to be business and psychology, as well as our biology department and our environmental science program and English and theater as well. So a very mixed bag of kind of popular majors. And I think that is really intentional and really a result of how Skidmore approaches the educational journey. So all students come into Skidmore undeclared. And so what that means is you have kind of the freedom and the flexibility to take any classes that you're really interested in. You don't have to declare your major until midway through your sophomore year, which really does give you that chance to just try out things that are interesting. That's how a lot of students find extra minors or majors. About 75% of students will either double major or major and minor. So there's a lot of that kind of duality on campus. And it really does kind of show itself in this first class that students take here at Skidmore. So the first class all students take is called a Scribner seminar. This is a first year seminar. It's capped at 16 students, so you get kind of that true full class size feeling. And the way that they work is they're very interdisciplinary classes. They're like passion projects for the professors. They really kind of bridge a lot of gaps in a lot of ways, and find cool connections between different areas across campus. So you may find yourself kind of overwhelmed with all of the options because the way you get it is you get a class list of about 40 to 45 different sections, and you get descriptions of those sections and you rank your top 10. Most students get into one of your top three. So you, if nothing else, with all of the students in that class, you share the fact that you kind of were interested in this area and you ranked this area high. And those are the same students that you'll go through orientation with. So you get a lot of those extra social touch points. So it's really nice to have that. But the way the class works, it's really just an introduction into not just the transition from high school into college, but specifically what it's like to be a college student here at Skidmore. And that's really important because no matter where you are, it is going to be a different experience. So it's nice to have an understanding of what am I getting myself into? What is it going to be like here? And that professor for that Scrivener seminar will serve as your academic advisor. And that is until you declare your major. And if you declare a major in their area of interest, and you have a strong relationship with them, you're able to keep them as your advisor. But if you find another professor that you have a better connection with, or you're going into a different area, it's very easy to change your advisor in that way. There's no bad blood or any issues with that. It's very easy. And like I said, all the professors are going to really want to kind of lift you up in a lot of ways. So it's really nice to have that support system kind of built into the foundation of the educational experience. And these Scribner seminars are often students' favorite classes. They're very interesting. Students rave about them for years to come. But if you both wouldn't mind talking about your Scribner seminar experiences and what they were like.
Yeah, I can talk about mine. I signed up for a Scribner seminar called Timely. It was taught by a professor in the English department. So I kind of knew I was interested in English, sounded pretty cool. And I thought that would be a good fit for me. I loved it. The class kind of revolved around exploring like humans' conception of time and like how time affects different things. So obviously we read a lot of books and we had a lot of class discussions, but we also took a trip to our Tang Teaching Museum at some point to sit down with two of the guest artists that their work was being featured in an exhibit, and their work was really touching on climate change and things that were very prevalent to, you know, how we think about geological time. And then we also had a neuroscience professor who came in to talk about circadian rhythm. So that's really the interdisciplinary aspect of that, which was super cool. And obviously, since I am an English major as well, it was really great for me to kind of build that relationship with, her name's Professor Black. She got to know me really well, and I've decided to keep her as my advisor, which is just really nice because she kind of just knows me from like the first minute I stepped onto campus and like when I was a freshman. And I've definitely changed since then, but it's good to know that someone kind of has that context of me. And I still like say hi to all of my Scribner seminar classmates when I see them, or if we're in a class together, we get to like have that moment of connection, which is really nice.
I took a class called the Technology, the Environment, Society. I didn't know what I really wanted to do coming into Skidmore. I thought maybe environmental sciences and studies. Obviously, I didn't end up choosing that. But this was a sort of ESS class taught by a Spanish professor, which is really interesting because this was more of like one of his side passions. And what I really loved about his class and what I've heard from other of my peers about their classes is they're making sure they're giving you different academic sort of challenges or tests to really get you into that college feel. And they're not going to be grading you that heavily. They're obviously, if you're not doing well, they're going to give you that sort of corresponding grade, but making sure you're getting into that college groove. Additionally, it is a 4 credit class, and there is 1 credit, sort of the fourth credit hour, that is dedicated to a peer mentor. And this is a student that is usually a junior or senior, someone who's been at Skidmore for some time. And their job is to really take that extra credit hour to get you into college, get you into like what is using the washing machine, like going to dining hall, bringing in outside people such as the Career Development Center, the off-campus study and change office, taking you guys to the gym. I've gone to actually a couple of my friends' classes who they're peer mentors for and spoken there on behalf of student government. So it's just sort of this extra layer of just thinking about how can you be supported as best as possible for college without being overly supported. I think sometimes what I've noticed is some colleges give you all the information in the first day and you're remembering nothing. But what's really nice about the Scrivener seminar is it's in a more digestible manner and a way that you could talk with your friends about it too, as you're building these new friends. I will say too, the Scrivener seminar group, I wave to them every time I see them in a hallway or walking past. We're right now trying to figure out sort of like trying to get together before the end of the semester as we're all seniors and doing a little meetup. So it's really this nice community that you build on top of as well.
Great, great. Yeah, and like I said, that Scrivener seminar really does kind of set the foundation for, everything that is Skidmore. It really does give you that great introduction to all aspects. And it really starts the ball with your academic journey. But there's more to Skidmore than just the academics. So another big part of the Skidmore experience is community. Community is very important here on campus, and we have over 120 different student organizations. We don't have fraternities or sororities, so the student organizations really do kind of create the fabric of what it means to be at Skidmore. We have basically a club for every interest. And if there's something you're interested in that there isn't a club for, it's really easy to create those clubs. And so it's cool to see kind of a club that you created and how long it lasts after your time here. But it's also sometimes students find that they're actually picking up a club that used to exist on campus and kind of getting to revive that from where it once was. So both are really cool opportunities. There's really a lot going on campus. The clubs put on a lot of events. They're really non-committal, so you can pop in and out of different events. You can be super involved in clubs or just kind of on the email list. It's really up to you how you kind of go about it. The clubs are always welcoming. They always want everyone to come into the event. They really help create this campus culture of inclusivity, which is really kind of central to all that's going on at Skidmore. Campus itself is fairly kind of close knit, maybe about a 20-minute walk to get from end to end of campus. So within those 20 minutes, you may pass a few different events and be able to pop by and see what's going on, or you'll see a flyer for something that sounds interesting coming up this weekend, and you can kind of pop by that as well. And it's really great to have that. There's also no real hierarchy when it comes to the clubs. You can get as involved or kind of backseat as you'd like. I know students who came in their first year, got super involved and were presidents of clubs. I know students who, at the end of their time, were just kind of popping by, coming out for free food when they see it. So it's really great to have kind of all the access without any real pressure to feel like you have to do every single thing. But it's really nice to have a lot of those options right here at your fingertips. Do you both want to talk about some of your involvements outside of admissions?
Do you want to go first, Milo?
Sure. I will say I've become pretty involved in my time at Skidmore. I've founded 2 clubs. I've been the president of 1 club, and right now I'm more on the student government side, like I said before. But something I always talk about at the end of like why I chose Skidmore, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but it is the community aspect. I just sort of got this vibe as I visited Skidmore, as I learned more about it, that people can meet together across all these different beliefs and different backgrounds and come together and have fun. Currently, what I'm working on right now is the Student Events Council. So we put on over 30 events every year, from big or small. Our biggest event is Big Show. I know, really great marketing. But we bring a big outside artist to perform. So this past year we had Kyle, Natasha Bedingfield, Rico Nasty in the past. We're seeing Wicked next weekend. We're renting out a theater. We do apple picking, Earth Day Festival, all these other types of events. And it's so interesting, as the student helping set these up to see the reaction and the memories being created. But there's all these other types of events from the cultural clubs, religious clubs, academic clubs, hobby clubs. And like Jordan was saying, you can just sign up on our portal. We call it SkidSync. Go to one of those events. You don't have to know anyone or sort of ever been to one, and they're always so welcoming. I always love going for the free food. You also hinted at that, Jordan. But literally, in my backyard, I live on one of the quads that we have here, and there's a volleyball net and a barbecue pit. And one day during the fall, I look outside and there's like all these people eating. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it was the African Heritage Association. And I just went out and sort of joined their volleyball game, ate some food, and had a great time. And I think just those sort of stories and ease of connection is just such a Skidmore story and Skidmore way of life.
Yeah, that's great.
I second all of that. I'm definitely on the more uninvolved side where it's like I'm definitely on the email list of like a ton of clubs and like I see events and I go. But yeah, like I get involved sometimes with the outing club because I have friends who are very involved there and will like put me on to certain events. And then I'm also doing women in business. And so that's great because they'll hold study nights or like career focused events. And I like that for myself because I find it nice to juggle a lot of different things. But yeah, it's like people are on either end of the coin. And I was also at that cookout for AHA for the African Heritage Awareness Club. So it's kind of fun because like you'll see overlap where you're like, I don't know this person or I don't know this club, but like my friend does and they're bringing me along. And it's really nice to like just get involved and see what people are doing. I think like the difference between high school clubs and college clubs, and I think it's definitely a Skidmore thing too, is like everybody's just there to hang out and like have a good time and talk. There's no competitive nature and whatnot. It's great.
Can I just one really quick thing? I think something really unique about Skidmore is that clubs are student ran and our student government oversees and funds a lot of our clubs. So it's really a lot of leadership skill that you gain. I always encourage everyone to try to join some form of a club board. And getting that sort of teamwork skill, budgeting skill, event planning skill is something you can't really get from a class. And it allows you to get that real world experience at Skidmore during your time here. And I can't stress that enough, that opportunity. Now, again, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it's such a unique opportunity we do offer here for students.
Yeah, that's really great. It is really important, to mention the fact that student government does do a great job of funding and seeking out these clubs. Like I mentioned, it's easy to start a club. So, when things are, when there's a lull and there's a void on campus, it's easy to kind of find something that fills it. And it's really great to have a really strong, connection to student government that is for the students. The other aspect to community is living on campus. About 95% of students live on campus all 4 years. Housing is guaranteed for all 4 years, so that definitely plays a large part into that. But it's also just a really great community on campus. With everything being so close by, as I mentioned, about a 20-minute walk, it's nice to have your friends, your classes, your food, all kind of within these quick little walks. And it's also nice to, have a place to stay on campus that is also so close to downtown. And it really is nice to have spots that you can go to off campus that don't feel too far away. It's really nice to have these communities, as Milo was talking about, on campus. The typical structure of our kind of our housing order. You have first year students. So we don't have any designated just first year dorms, second year dorms, third year dorms. But the way that it works is first year students are put into random groupings. And I say random with a little bit of quotations. We have a questionnaire that goes out to students, and it asks all kinds of things like, how hot or cold do you like the room to be, how messy or clean, or how quiet or loud, things like that. And you answer all of these questions. They all get put into an algorithm, and the algorithm creates roommate assignments from there. The average experience is first year students will live in a triple, and that's what most students can expect. So we have kind of these suite style living. So your triple, you'll share a bathroom with a couple other rooms. So you won't ever have more than, I think the max number is like 10 or 12 people kind of in those groupings. And so it's really nice to have that. And you share that bathroom, so it's not shared with your entire floor. And that's nice to have a little bit of that independence there. And the reasoning behind not choosing your own roommates is we found kind of these algorithms work a little bit better than students kind of just picking each other off of Instagram, for example. We had some students, I believe it was 3 years ago, there was kind of some pushback about choosing roommates. And we allowed students to make that choice and found that there were more roommate transfer requests than ever before. And so went back to the algorithm, which was a really good testament to that working. And then your sophomore year, students are able to choose their roommates. Now that you've had that experience, most students will stay in a double or a single, just kind of up to personal preference. But this past year, kind of as another testament to the algorithm, we had more students choosing to stay in the triples than ever before. So it really did kind of show that it worked. Beyond that, in your junior and senior year, students have access to the on-campus apartments, which are these really nice furnished apartments. They have a full kitchen, a shared living space. Everyone has their own bedroom. They're 3, 4, and 5 person apartments. So this is a really great opportunity for students to kind of feel a little bit more of that independence and kind of be on the edge of campus while still having access to all of the Skidmore resources in case anything goes wrong or something stops working. You don't have to worry about fixing it yourself. You can just call facilities. But this whole system is a really great way for students to stay close by to all the things that are going on, stay close by to their friends, and still have their own space on campus. You both want to talk about your experience with living on campus.
Yeah. Well, I'm a sophomore, so I'm still in the dorms as of right now. I always like to say on my tours, I had such a good success story with my random roommates freshman year. I was in a triple and I met my roommates on the first day of like when I moved in, they were moving in. But yeah, I mean, I think like filling out a survey where we were kind of similar in our sleeping habits and like our studying habits was really beneficial because we never had to kind of argue about those things. We definitely fought about who took out the trash and like keeping each other's sides clean, but that's like very basic stuff. And truthfully, I'm still really good friends with both of them to this day. I say hi to all of them. I'm planning on living with one of them probably sometime junior or senior year in the apartments. I really like the dorms. I think they're like it's nice, especially sophomore year, to get to choose where you live. I like had my first I had a pretty good lottery number, so I like had got my choice, got my roommate. I live in a double and I'm definitely looking forward to taking advantage of the apartments. I love to cook. I love to be like in my own space but surrounded by people, so it's such a great opportunity and like so unique to Skidmore. I do not know other schools that offer such a good like junior and senior apartment style situation.
Yeah. I am pretty happy with the housing situation here. I was in that grade that was allowed to choose roommates their first year. And I think what I found also as I worked in student government is the people who chose their roommates were not living with their roommates in the spring, but the people who went random were still living with their roommates in the spring, which I think was very interesting. What I will say though is after that year, student government was able to work with the Res Life to revamp the survey and really build out what needs to be asked to make sure you have the best selection possible. Besides that, the residence halls, I love them. I'm reminiscing about them right now, but the window seats are amazing. They're pretty cozy. They recently renovated all the floors. The bathrooms are cleaned once a week. Free laundry, can't complain about that. My first year was not free, but that's always amazing. And the apartments, 92, 93% of Skidmore lives on campus all 4 years. And to have these sort of like independent living situations, no more than adding a 6, 8 minute walk onto your daily commute to campus is really amazing. Um, they're very communal. You could be, I'm living right next to my friends who live right next to me. So like we're pretty much neighbors. I'm living with my friends right now. I love being able to cook. Like I said, I live on a quad and there's several other quads that you get to live on. And they're so active from winter to summer to fall. Like there's always something going on. And you get to meet new people and make new friends. So it's this great sort of community building that builds on top of the already tight knit Skidmore community.
Yeah, that's great. And The other aspect to living on campus is kind of the food on campus. And I really love to sing the praises of our dining hall. Um, they really do a great job providing food as a service to the students. And it's really great to have that here on campus. They were recently ranked number 7 in the country. And they're number 2 in New York State behind the Culinary Institute of America. So they're really kind of fighting with giants at the top there. But they really do a great job of catering to a lot of different dietary restrictions, allergies. The entire dining hall is peanut free because that's popular enough of an allergy that they felt that that was safe enough to just kind of do without. But there's also an entire section of the dining hall that is labeled -9. And that's food that's made without the top 9 allergens. So they really do a great job of making sure there's something for everyone. They also do a great job of rotating kind of the menus so you're not eating the same thing all the time, but there is still always something for you there. They do a good job of taking feedback. A lot of students do work within the dining hall, so you kind of get an understanding on both sides of the table there, which is really nice to have. And they're really open to that feedback. -9 is something that came out of kind of student desire for something to change, and they heard that. So it was really great to have that and to know that we have that here on campus. So it's really great to have, and it's really, something that I always highlight when I'm talking about this. But we also have a few questions here that I definitely want to tap into. One here from Marcus is he wants to know more about how Skidmore supports students after graduation and how students feel prepared for life after college. And so I feel like that's a layup for our resident senior here. Do you want to talk about kind of your experience with that? And, Clarissa, if you have any insight as well, I'd love to hear from both of you on that.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to look at a Q&A, but life after college, that's sort of preparation for life after college.
Yeah, yeah, just
Okay.
kind of how you feel prepared and how you got
Yeah.
prepared here.
So I would say starting from your first year, they're really starting to ingrain like what is sort of going through college like. We have a department called the Career Development Center or CDC. It's a little confusing sometimes when you say CDC, but they're meeting with you starting your first year and coming back your sophomore year, junior year, and then really being a great resource your senior year as you're especially looking at what next, like what I'm doing right now. They're helping you your first year and sophomore year. Really, what is a resume? What is a LinkedIn? Starting to build out how to navigate the job world. Junior year is all about internships usually. Same with sophomore year. For me, I started meeting with them. You can set up a one-on-one meeting. You can have no idea what you want to go into that meeting with, and you're meeting with these counselors, talking through your ideas, and they're helping you find the direction you want to go in. So for me, example, my junior year, I went to one of the events that they hosted. They're going to bring in various local partners and regional partners to do info sessions and sort of table at various events so you can learn more about their company and network. And then also the Career Development Center will bring in various alumni for networking as well. So there's a Vineyard Vines info session. I went to that. I worked with the CDC and I applied and I was privileged to work with them last summer. Currently, right now, I'm really using them as a resource to network, finding different alumni on LinkedIn, reaching out on LinkedIn, or using our internal Skidmore database to find their emails and reach out to. And then they're assisting me with, when's a good time to apply to classes. Outside of that, though, for more of like a STEM background, I'm pretty unique where I'm not going to grad school as a physics major. But a lot of my friends who are applying to graduate school are working with the CDC and additionally professors within our department on how to build out a graduation application and other sort of ways to get prepared. And in that sense, it really does come down to the department, especially like the sciences, where they're having senior seminar classes. So I'm in a seminar class. I'm also taking a senior CODA class. And those classes are really how do you hone in on the skills that you've been learning for the past 3.5, almost 4 years, and how can you apply them, and how do you navigate various aspects of the world? So they've been pretty great so far. I'm still looking for a job. I'm in the midst of that right now, but it's always nice to know that we have a strong and really reliable resource here.
Yeah, I'm kind of not anywhere close to like some of those things. But have used the CDC like to help me make a resume for the first time, to kind of give me like a guide on interviewing steps. And they're a really great resource just like for when you're starting to get into that world of like, how do I build my LinkedIn, as Milo was saying. I also want to say like I have a similar experience where it's like in the English field, a lot of people are pursuing like graduate school as well. And so there's a lot of info sessions that are held within the department. So professors, I know in the English department, we have like career advisors that are designated for specific, like 2 professors each year that change. And they're there to help the seniors or even like second semester juniors figure out what are the possibilities of like what I'd be interested in doing. And they often have a lot of like advice because of their own life experiences. But yeah, I think like to speak on the fact that you become very close with a lot of your professors, they end up advising you and helping you through that as well, which can be really nice considering they know you more than say the career development center might know you unless you're going a lot.
Yeah, and they do a really great job of kind of meeting students where they are. On their website, they've got kind of, if you're a first year, here's some things you should check out. If you're a second year, here's some things you should check out kind of throughout the process. And just to kind of wrap up that career focus. I did see a question asking about medical school acceptance and a resource for pre-med students. So we have our health professions advising council, and they really help students kind of prepare for medical school, the medical school application, the MCAT, kind of all of the aspects of that. And they do a really great job of preparing Skidmore students for that next step, whether it's pre-vet, pre-dental, pre-health, just in general. I believe that their overall statistic is about 85% of students who apply to med schools, they get into at least one program. And so, that's a really high number. It's really great to have that number. It's definitely higher than the average. And they also on their website, they kind of break down what it looks like versus different GPAs. You can definitely check that out. It's the HPAC at Skidmore. That's the premier kind of pre-med area. So definitely check that out. They're really great. Another question we got here is, what does this study abroad program look like? It's very, very great question. It's a very popular program amongst Skidmore students. So I will once again pass it over to the students to talk about their experience with study abroad.
I guess I'll take this because I have been abroad and I assume you're looking right now, Clarissa, if you do want to go. But it was an amazing experience. That's what I'll say off the bat. There are 2 Skidmore programs and then over, I believe, 100 pre-approved programs. And if there's a location or program that you want to go to, Skidmore will work with you to make sure that they can get you there. Usually searching for these programs start at the end of your sophomore year, early junior year. You can study abroad starting your sophomore year, but primarily students will do it the spring of their junior year. Additionally, you can study abroad for, I believe, up to 3 semesters, which is really interesting. So I've had friends that like have disappeared for an entire year, and I'm like, oh my God, you just lived in a different country for an entire year, which is pretty cool. The 2 Skidmore programs are in New Zealand and France. I went to Milan. It was an amazing program. Skidmore helped me throughout the entire process because you're filling out applications to go into a different school/program. And they're setting up different resources such as what if they'd like to go abroad, budgeting, health insurance, other things like that. Additionally, also making sure that you're able to, with your grades, transfer them back and forth and other ways to get prepared, connecting you with alumni and things like that. I did a business program in Milan. It was amazing. It was with several other schools as well. So it was really interesting to meet new people. And it was just a great time to travel and have a lot of fun and learn too. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just starting my search, so I don't have much to say, but it's just a great opportunity that I think like part of the reason I ended up at Skidmore as well was just knowing that that's something I wanted to have the option to do, and that they make it so easy to support you doing that regardless of, your major, your involvement with athletics. There's a ability to do that.
Yeah, and the off-campus study exchange department, they do a really great job of kind of catering to students in the sense that whatever major you have, they'll work with you. Wherever you're interested in going, they'll work with you. And wherever you do go, when you get there, you're still a Skidmore student at the end of the day. So you still have access to all of Skidmore's resources. You also, your financial aid stays the same. You don't have to worry about unenrolling from Skidmore or anything like that. So you are really encouraged to do that. And I believe the number is about 60% of students do that. And it's really high compared to the national average. And I think that is a really big testament to the work that they do in off-campus and study exchange. There's also some really cool, unique Skidmore specific options. So one is our travel seminars. So this is for students who maybe aren't as interested in doing a full semester abroad. So the way that the travel seminars work is you meet with a professor learning about a place on campus and throughout the semester. And then at the end of your class, you take about 2 weeks to travel to that place. So you still get that cultural immersion, you get that travel piece, but you don't have to commit to a whole semester elsewhere. But on the other end of kind of the spectrum, we also have our first semester abroad program. So for students who are super interested and super ready to study abroad, about 30-ish students each year do spend their first semester abroad in London. So this is a really unique opportunity. It's fully opt-in. We don't kind of sign anyone up for it, just outside of their desires. But it is really great to fully immerse yourself in what it's like to study abroad. And you get to do that with a full cohort. Those students come back to Skidmore, and they have a really great kind of experience living together. And most of those students then again go on to study abroad later on. So it's not exclusionary in any way. So much like everything else, it does kind of meet you where you are, which is a really great kind of thing to have, especially when it comes to study abroad. And the other kind of area of campus that I haven't really touched on yet is our athletics. So we are a Division III athletic school. We compete in the Liberty League. We have 19 different varsity sports, and we also have a variety of club and intramural sports. So, it is much like everything else, kind of meets you where you are. It really allows you to tap in if you're somebody who's really interested in heavy practice, structure, schedules, there's an option for that. But if you're somebody who just kind of wants to get outside on a Thursday afternoon, that's also an option. So there's really a little bit of both worlds there. But how would you both as students kind of describe the athletics and the sports on campus?
Um, I'm not involved in the sports outside of like club sports or intramural sports, I guess. I'm somewhat involved in like intramural basketball and I also watch like intramural basketball. I have friends that play on our varsity soccer team and on our varsity lacrosse team. So I have that sort of image. I would say it's really nice. Like we're not a huge sports school, so it's not huge tailgating events and whatnot, but people really do still come out to show their support, especially when you have close friends on the team. And then usually every team will also have their sort of like stable game, which is an event that is like way more promoted, and a lot of students will show up. One of our big ones is the Big Green Scream for our varsity, our men and women's varsity basketball teams. They usually play back to back in our home, on our home court, and everybody shows up, and it's a really fun time.
Yeah, I would say that it's a really unique sort of setting where we're not known as this big sports campus, yet we have some really strong teams and really strong community built from that. For example, the basketball team, the soccer team, tennis team, always like I'm very friendly with all of them. And I think just showing that they're very involved in the community and that you can have someone who's not on a sports team be involved is just, again, another Skidmore statement. Outside of that, club and intramural teams are also an option for students who don't want to be as involved in the varsity side of stuff. For example, my friends and I were on a volleyball team this semester. You can do tennis, hockey, frisbee, soccer. I think what else. There's a little mini pickleball team that's getting started right now. Badminton. It's really other ways to get involved. Additional add with just sports in general. We recently just finished and opened our brand new sports center, the Cavalry Wagman Wellness Center. Sorry, I butcher that name sometimes. But that added 10,000 square foot of brand new cardio and weight equipment, indoor tennis, and all these other just amazing facilities for students to use, athletes and non-athletes. So it's really amazing that all students can have an active lifestyle and the college cares for you as well. Um, yeah, I think that's all. And like sort of closer to saying, the big green screen is a lot of fun. I get to work with a lot of different teams on creating events for the whole campus. And it's just again showing that connection between the two sort of groups of people that we have here.
Yeah, it's really great. It's nice that, a lot of students do come out to support their friends, and that extends beyond just athletics. Students are coming out to orchestra concerts and going out to theater performances. So it is really a multifaceted campus to kind of echo a lot of the multifaceted students here. Another really great question that I saw come up in the Q&A is, what is something that new students are always surprised to learn about Skidmore once they get here? I think that would be a great one for you all to kind of reflect on. What is something that kind of stood out to you in that first maybe semester or first year that you really didn't see coming, that hopefully was a good surprise for you?
I would say just the things to do and the options and all these perspectives. I thought that I was going to choose a path and not choose a path I didn't know what I really wanted to do and just really stay with those people and stick with that. But as I sort of was a first year into sophomore year, I started to build like, what will work for me? What are my passions? How can I combine that? And additionally, get to experience all these new things from going to a different theater performance, concert performance on the weekends, to seeing my friends do research in biology and things like that. It's all these different combinations of things. Additionally, where all these other things like ideas merge. A lot of my friends are not physics majors, are not very involved, and I think it just shows like all these commonalities that you can have outside of the regular realm of college. I will say one last thing. I think something that I have come to learn and something that I get asked in my tours is like, oh, is Skidmore a very arts heavy institution? And I would say no, we are very strong in our arts, but that's not primarily everything we're known for. We just built our brand new science center and we're very strong in our business and humanities as well. And I think that shows, again, that collaboration that we have on campus.
Yeah, totally second all of that. And I guess what I would add onto that is I think I was just surprised about genuinely how nice and open everybody is on this campus. I come from a very small high school, so I knew I wanted to be in a small-ish environment, but obviously college is going to be larger than high school. But it's really nice to walk around and be able to smile and wave and chit chat with people, even if they're not somebody I talk to every day. I think it forms a really good sense of community for the school.
Yeah, that's great. Great. And kind of on my side, I've known of Skidmore and I've grown up knowing of Skidmore. But I was really surprised by just the kind of interesting group of students that kind of come to Skidmore. All the Skidmore students are very unique. Everyone seems to be doing something of their own, but they're also really passionate about. So that passion is really palpable. You can feel that on campus. And that was something that really surprised me, kind of from the other side of the table. As we're getting towards kind of the end here, I definitely, Milo hinted at the question I was going to ask, but I would love for both of you to kind of talk about why Skidmore. What made you choose Skidmore kind of over any other school? What kind of drew you to Skidmore in the first place? Just in general, what got you here and what do you feel about that?
I can talk a little bit first. So I ED'd 1 and ED2 to different schools, not Skidmore. Um, and I kind of ended up looking at Skidmore as an option during like regular decision when those applications were coming out. So like March, April, of my senior year of high school. I had a lot of options in front of me, and it was really hard for me to make my choice. They were very similar, like liberal arts wise, but very different, on top of that. And I did like visits to each of them in person. And this visit I did to Skidmore, actually, I had the opportunity to spend a night in a senior's apartment. I slept on the floor of her bedroom with another prospective student, or accepted student, I guess I should say. And it was such an interesting experience. She like took me around with her. And I like went into that trip kind of not knowing where I was gonna feel like coming out of it, not really having an opinion. And I came out of that trip being like immediately submitted my, I was like, I'm coming to Skidmore. And truly, like when I was asked like why, it was like the people. I remember like meeting a bunch of not only like accepted students that I was with on the program, but like current students, and just feeling like it was some of the nicest people I'd ever met. They were so interesting. They were doing such interesting things. They were all hanging out on the campus. Like we went into a classroom at like 10 p.m. and there was like a whole group of people just hanging out and studying in there. And it was just like, that is the place I want to be. That is the place I want to spend the next 4 years of my life. I think the people really make the place for me personally. And I knew that I could succeed at a place if I was able to feel supported by the people.
I had a little bit of a different story, but I didn't do I know they do that program now. I wish I did it. They didn't offer it due to COVID. But I ED'd one to Skidmore. Obviously it worked out. I took a little bit of a chance and just applied to one school. But I knew that I wanted a small liberal arts college within driving distance to home. So I was exploring upstate New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. Um, and I came across Skidmore the first time and sort of, started to pick up like, what am I looking for in a college? And I sort of found three aspects: community, academics, and location. And the location part, I'll start with first. I wasn't expecting location to be one of the big deciding factors, but as I started to go deeper and deeper into the middle of nowhere for some of these colleges, I was like, I need to be a little bit close to some reality and some stores and good food as well. So Saratoga was already checked off there. Community, like Clarissa was saying, just people being active and people being around at all moments is always shown here. If you look at photos, you'll probably see Case Green and everyone sitting outside, or in various other centers like the Case Center, dining hall, library, things like that. One of the other counselors, I think Matt talks about, or maybe Darren, the map sort of tests where like you open up a map of Skidmore in public and you see how long it takes for students to answer it. And he said a student answered in 30 seconds, and I believe that fully. I think that just shows people holding doors, people being so willing to talk is very Skidmore. And the last thing is academics, where I knew sort of what I wanted to do, something with the sciences, something with the humanities. As visiting Skidmore, I saw the brand new Center for Integrated Science building and also a very strong business program. So I knew that as I was coming into Skidmore, I would be supported throughout the process into making that correct and right final decision of what I'm declaring. Um, and I will say, as a senior, I think I made the perfect decision. And I hope you guys do too.
Right, that's great. Those are both wonderful answers. And the beauty is, if you have 2,700 different students, you'll get 2,700 different answers to that question, which is really great. So I definitely encourage you at any chance that you can to ask a Skidmore student that question. It's really interesting to see what kind of got everyone here. I see another question that you flagged, Milo, about how active is the campus on weekends? What do students do? Do people go home, stay on campus? What do students do on the weekends?
Sure. I'll try to answer this pretty quick, but people do stay here on the weekends, especially when it's nice out. People are going to Lake George traveling. You'll most likely find a friend with a car, or a club will host something. People are going downtown to a coffee shop, going shopping. There are, as we said, so many different musical events, from performances to athletic events as well. So something's always going on. Sort of evening life wise, if you are of age, there's a pretty active downtown scene. Additionally, people are hanging out in various dorm rooms and apartment settings as well. Um, and it's pretty active and exciting. So it's cool that we can have a smaller campus and have some fun at the same time.
All right. So I think that'll wrap us up here. I really want to thank everyone for coming out and tuning in. It's been a really great time just kind of answering all your questions. But of course, if you have any other questions, Milo beat me to it. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll plug our emails. You can reach out to the students, you can reach out to us at admissions at Skidmore. And it's really great to kind of be a part of your process here. We're really glad to have you all on here, glad to answer any questions, and appreciate you all being here, and wish you all a wonderful night, and look forward to reading applications from hopefully all of you. All right, and that will do it for us here.